I closed my eyes, drew back the curtain to see for certain what I thought I knew.
Joseph marks the beginning of, one of the most crucial collaborations in the British 20th century theatre.
Well, Joseph was a chapter of accidents, really.
And a schoolmaster friend of ours called Alan Doggett invited us to write something for his end-of-term school play.
We sort of thought of lots of stories. One time we was thinking of sort of doing a spy kind of James Bond type story.
I think then Tim looked through his wonder book of Bible stories and came up with this story of the guy who was exiled and driven into slavery and came back and saved his country and brought it into economic renewal.
And we came up with Joseph. And from that point, back in 1968, March the 1st, when Joseph was first performed, it just grew and grew and grew.
You wouldn't say it was a flawless masterpiece, you'd just say it was a wonderfully fresh, inventive, new piece of musical theatre. I think Tim Rice is right, he once said to me, did I do this? Were we that young, that fresh, that innovative? And it was such a wonderfully unself-conscious piece of writing by them both, just as they started out, and it's got that bloom on it of freshness, immediacy and absolute charm.
The Stephen Pimlott played in production, has been, I suppose, probably the best and the most successful around the world, of any Joseph that we've ever had.
Andrew Lloyd Webber, I had seen a production I'd done of Carmen, an arena production. Why he should think I would be a suitable choice for Joseph, I don't know. And as the other piece of work I had on that year was Julius Caesar, I thought it would make a pleasant contrast.
The team responsible was Stephen Pimlott, the director, and Mark Thompson, the designer. They have great operatic experience, even at that stage. They've done quite a lot of work in musical theatre and operas.
I don't know what I really brought to it. I started off like I do with most things, of telling the story. It's a very good story, and it's very well told.
You did feel, were they breaking a butterfly on a wheel? Had they taken a hammer to a nut, as it were? And you got the Egyptian slaves coming on like Mediterranean gay waiters in their white miniskirts. And I did think it was a little over the top and probably putting too much strain on it. But I was in a minority of about -1, I think. The audience absolutely loved it.
It's all about listening to the interpretation that leads. All your lives have been a misery in the court ever since he's had these bloody dreams. So it will just free it up a little bit, make it more about listening and a little bit less choreographed. Oh, well, we've had several Josephs. The first was Jason Donovan, who was a lovely guy. At the time, at the height of his career as a pop idol, you couldn't get through the stage door. Actually, every performance, there were thousands of people there, and he was very charming and very fresh and had a certain sort of naivety and innocence, which was marvellous for the part.
I look handsome, I look smart, I am a walking work of art. Such a dazzling coat of many colours. How I love my coat of many colours.
Then came Philip Schofield.
I went to the Lyric Theatre in Hammersmith for an audition. And it wasn't really a very auspicious start because he asked if I could do Any Dream Will Do. And I couldn't remember how it finished.
Who had a lovely dry English wit and a sort of mischievous twinkle which suited Tim's lyrics very well, and also he proved himself a wonderful singer.
Andrew had arrived and I said, "Where would you like me to stand?" And he'd said in a very gruff voice, "In the middle might be a good idea." So really it was looking very ugly. I thought this has not been a very good idea at all. And then a couple of days later they phoned up and said, "If you want to do it, it's yours."
Then came Donny, who of course we have now, who, comparisons are invidious and all of them were brilliant in their different ways, but Donny has something I think very special. He's able to play both ends of the spectrum, really, the very naive boy who begins the story and the man that he becomes.
I closed my eyes, drew back the curtain to see for
for certain what I thought I knew.
I was given the script and I thought, oh, this isn't really what I want to do. I want to progress a little bit further because it's typical, you know, Joseph donned in white, long hair, big smile, Donny Osmond, perfect, typecasting. But then I started reading the script a little bit more, and I realized there's a lot more to it than just that cute side of Joseph. There's that roller coaster ride of emotions into the jail and the prison, and eventually he's in charge of Egypt. To be able to pull off someone at 18 years old all the way to 40 years old within about an hour and a half worth of time would be a stretch, would be difficult to pull off and be believable. So I said, let's try it for maybe 6 months. About 6 years later, I said, it's enough.
We certainly never expected it to become anything like the phenomenon it is today. Certainly, anybody writing a 20-minute piece for a school would never expect it 30 years on to become one of the world's most performed musicals, having played Broadway, the West End, all over the world, literally, and now being made into a major video film. You just do not expect these things.
Joseph was an unimportant slave who found he liked his master, consequently worked much harder, even with devotion. Potiphar could see that Joseph was a cut above the average native leader of his house of maximum promotion. Potiphar was cool and so fine,
but my wife would never tell the lie.
It's over in chapter 39 of Genesis.
It established itself after the initial reputation and the initial success as a school's favourite. So now you've got a whole generation of school children who've sung in amateur productions at school, their parents now who are also in it, and new kids coming up, and so it's a self-perpetuating phenomenon.
Well, it was obviously written for schools, and it's great that schools do continue to do it. And I think one of the reasons is that Tim Rice's lyrics are as fresh as they were when he originally wrote them.
It's timeless, it delights children, and the delight of children will usually delight their parents. And I hope that it's always done in schools, because that is where Joseph is at its absolute best.
Still people doing bobbing down when we're going up. Here we go, one more time. 2, 3, 4.
Joseph was an unimportant slave who found he liked his master, consequently worked much harder, even with devotion.
We do a production every 2 years, which makes sure that all the children in their last 2 years of school have the opportunity to take part in a large production. We have to choose something that will cope for having a choir of 200, 300 children. And Joseph fits that ideally. The children love the music, they love the story, it can fit into our RE programme, so it does fit into the school curriculum. And it's fun to do.
You can do one action in this, which it will be... there's one more to go. Joseph, it's tough. And you'll be able to go, it's tough. And we might let you, nearer the day, do a bit of yee-hawing at the end, but you have to know the words.
Yes, we've got an absolutely massive production with nearly 250 children taking part and lots of adult support as well, so that's really good.
Joseph will never forget you. It's tough, but
I'm Natalie and I play Joseph. I'm Scott and I play Joseph. I'm Lindsay and I play Joseph. Hi, I'm Alex and I play Joseph.
We've got 4 Josephs now, 2 boys and 2 girls, and all of which are working very, very hard. They spend every single break time rehearsing on their own.
Beginning again. Words, words, words.
They're getting braver in front of everybody else because, of course, it's a tough role to play.
Makes you feel quite important and like pleased with yourself because you're actually like the main character, and you also get a lot of fame around school because there's a lot of people that when you go round, people that you don't know all of a sudden know your name and who you are.
Yeah.
And it's like strange to just think, I don't know these people, but they all know me, and I don't really know how.
I'd have given anything to be in something like this when I was young, and so that's why it doesn't matter about all the time and the effort that goes into it.
Oh, now, brothers, how low can you stoop? You make a sordid group. Look at them up there. Are they sordid or what? Yuck. Choir, we are despising of what they have just done. One of their own flesh and blood, they've ripped his coat up, they've flung him in a pit, then they've sold into a couple of hairy Ishmaelites, and then, to top it all, they've killed a poor innocent goat. Honestly, do goats deserve treatment like that? No. See? Sordid they are, sordid.
I'd never actually done Joseph as a child myself, which of course a lot of the staff had done, but I've seen it 3 times. I saw it twice with Jason Donovan and once with Phil Schofield, and thought it was absolutely fantastic.
My first contact with Joseph was actually at school, and like most schools, like nearly all schools, I think, we had a production of Joseph, and I went up for it just to sing, I think, and my music teacher said no, I don't think your voice is really up to it, so no, and I didn't get the part.
The brilliant thing about Joseph is it can be done anyway, and you can do it in the corner of a church hall, or you can do it on a big stage. It seems resilient enough to survive any treatment, and that is because of the melodic freshness and wit of the central core of the story.
You've got to keep still, remember, because Andrew's singing. If you move, audience eyes will be on you, and they should be on Andrew. All right? You've got to keep ever so still. Either hands by your sides or hands in front, where you're comfortable. Right, okay. Ready, Andrew, right?
My name's Andrew and I play the role of Joseph.
I'm Ian and I play Potiphar.
I'm Josie and I play Potiphar's wife. I'm Kelly and I play narrator.
I'm Kyle and I play Pharaoh.
When Alison came to see me and asked if we could do a production, and she said that we were doing Joseph, it seemed to offer the kids a tremendous opportunity.
I chose Joseph, because I remember doing it at secondary school when I think it was the Bill Kenwright production came to my hometown, and I was one of the choir members, and that memory really stayed with me because it was such a fantastic experience.
It is a lot of work for the staff and for the children, but I think they feel it's worth it to give a breadth of education, because now with all the tests and league tables, there's a danger that education can become too narrow, and Joseph gives us an opportunity to do something which some of the children who mightn't succeed academically will do very well.
It's a really good
experience.
Yeah, because I go drama classes and I haven't been picked in a film yet, and I want to become an actress, so I think it's a good start.
Yeah, so do I. I want to be an actor and a singer.
It's a good start to yes, good start our education.
was meant for the whole of the school to play and sing. And we had to take into account that some of the kids obviously were far less musical than some of the others. And it was actually written from that point of view. How did we involve all of the children of a 400-strong school, many of whom probably couldn't play a musical instrument. So we had to think. I had to think of ideas that would keep them all happy. And as it expanded, as it got bigger, I mean, there was a lot of fun in the whole thing. I mean, the idea of doing a country and western song. I mean, it was just fun. The idea of doing the French song, again, we just thought it was amusing. When Stephen suggested that Maria Friedman should do it, who of course is one of our best, British musical theatre actresses, and one of the best we've ever had, the whole thing sort of coalesced.
A little quicker.
Quicker.
Hit the record button. Go. That's it. That's it. Let's go quick.
Johnny's got to go away.
I'll turn my back.
Go away. Film them. Look at what I've got for support.
Father, we've something to tell you, a story of our time.
We tried to get the idea of a children's Bible as the background, which is why originally it was just very simple yellow, simple blue, simple black, simple white.
A dozen sons, well now that's not quite true. But feel no sorrow, do not grieve, he would not want you to.
The stage show is immensely crammed with lots of ideas.
We tried, the designer and I, to embrace all the fun of the story and all the different pastiches that Andrew and Tim bring into it.
Service to Pharaoh has begun. Tell me your problems, mighty one. Pharaoh is in the building.
Well, I was wandering along the banks of the river when 7 fat cows came out of the Nile. Oh, yeah. And right behind these fine, healthy animals, 7 other cows that were skinny and vile. Oh.
What's been lovely here is that we've been able to take all the energy and bazaars and dance and fun and games of the theatrical show, but we've reconceived it in a way that isn't there for a flat presentation. There's no use pretending there's an audience out there laughing and cheering. It isn't.
The difference between the film and the stage, well, obviously, it has to be bigger or feel bigger and more elaborate.
The real plus for me is it's a very busy show with lots and lots of detail, which when you saw it in the theatre, you only got, it depended where you sat, what you saw, you got part of. Here, we've been able to anatomise it.
That's us rapping now, doing it while we got the time.
Hi, guys. Hey.
Yes, they did and made the most of it. Saw his coat and flung him in a pit.
Cut and bolt somewhere, and we'll stand by to go again.
Now what did we do wrong?
You
there was absolutely nothing truthful about what you did then whatsoever.
But that's continuity, because there hasn't been throughout the show.
Well, I know, but it's time to start. You, I couldn't even see you. You weren't even there. You were asleep. You were
playing with your hair.
You were playing with your hair, and you were doing Danny LaRue. Joan had men. I get a pink fan from the £1 shop.
Give me my coloured coat, my amazing coloured coat.
I did about almost 2,000 performances, so I know the show very well. I'm not going to get the words, that's for sure.
Oh, choir, we really need to learn those colours. That's the one job for the weekend, please. Learn them inside out.
I look handsome, I look smart.
The coat is many colours.
Well, first colour was red.
Well, the coat is multicoloured, of course.
Next question.
Red and yellow and green and pink and...
Ochre and peach and scarlet and...
Oh! It was red and yellow and green and brown and scarlet and black.
And there's luminous. What, do you want me to list all of them?
Yes. I only wrote 5 of them, though. The original song went red, I can't remember it now.
Violet, fawn, lilac, gold, chocolate, mauve.
Grey and purple and lemon and grey.
I look handsome, I look smart. I am a walking work of art. Such a dazzling coat of many colors. How I love my coat of many colors. It was red and yellow and green and brown.
I know how many colours there are in the original lyric, but actually we missed out a couple we worked out once.
And scarlet and black and ochre and peach and ruby and olive and violet and fawn and lilac and gold and chocolate and mauve, cream and crimson and silver and rose and
Azure, lemon, russet grey, purple, white, pink, orange, blue.
rose and azure and lemon and russet and grey and purple and white and pink and orange and blue.
In fact, those colours got reviewed once as being the best lyrics in the piece, and I didn't write them.
When the Stephen Pimlock production came along, it sort of transformed the theatrical potential of the piece. No one had really thought of it like that. And here was the final apotheosis, if you like, of a show and of Joseph, that it had come from this tiny beginning to this great effusion at the end. And, of course, the truth and beauty of the matter is that it can easily go back to that beginning again.
I think Joseph really is about families. You have a bumptious but very talented younger brother, envied, loathed by his immediate family, spoilt by his father. He has no self-knowledge at all, no idea what sort of impression he's creating. Passions rise high in families. Most murders are committed, you know, within the family. And the brothers turn on him, and he's thrown, literally, into the darkest depths. I think the historical Joseph spent 9 or 10 years in prison. And something that none of us like to face. It's often when we're at our lowest, in our deepest moments of depression, that we learn something about ourselves. And Joseph turns a corner and becomes very successful, but his biggest test is still to come, because now he's a very powerful man in Egypt, having forgotten all about his family, perhaps, certainly never expecting to see them again. And suddenly there they are before him, and he is now in a position of absolute power. He can forgive them, or he can take his vengeance upon them. And we think, of course, of the story of being about him forgiving them, and indeed he does. But before that, and this is where the story is so interesting, he takes it out on the youngest one, Benjamin, his younger brother. He reenacts what was done to him, just as his brothers were cruel to him as the youngest. He takes it out on Benjamin.
Benjamin, you nasty youth, your crime has shocked me to the core. Never in my whole career have I encountered this before.
And punishes both Benjamin, really punishing himself, and indeed his father, who spoilt him by making him suffer. But in the end, the story shows that you have to somehow turn all that bad thought, bad feeling, wickedness into gold. And the story ends with forgiveness.
And Joseph knew by this his brothers now were honest men.
It works on the levels of something very big, very important, but also something that's very immediate and about all our lives.
Thank you.
It's jelly.
Oh no, not he. How you can accuse him is a mystery. Save him, save me. Benjamin is straighter than the 12 palm tree. I hear these steel drums sing their song. They're singing and you know you got it wrong. I hear the voice of the yellow bird singing in the tree. This is quite absurd.
Oh no, naughty, naughty. How you can accuse him of mystery? Save him, take me. Benjamin is straighter than the 12 palm tree. Oh yes, it's true. Benjamin is straighter than the bamboo. No buts. Benjamin is honest as
Oh yes, it's true. It's true. Benjamin is straighter than the big bamboo. No ifs, no buts. Benjamin is honest as coconuts. Sure as the tide washed the golden sand, Benjamin is an innocent man. Ooh, sure as bananas need the sun, we are the criminal guilty ones. Oh no, not he. How you can accuse him is a mystery. Save him, take me. Benjamin is straighter than the 12 palm tree. How you can accuse him is a mystery. Save him, take me. Benjamin is straighter than the 12 palm tree. La 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 la.
Joseph is quite unique in this, that from every age group, people live with this music and it lasts with them for the rest of their lives.
There's one more angel in heaven. There's one more star in the sky. Joseph will never forget you. It's tough, but we're gonna get by. There's one less place at our table. There's one more tear in my eye. Joseph, the things that you stood for, like love and peace never die. Like love and peace never die.
Don't lose the end of it.
Like love and peace never die.
And freeze it.